who is ruling in a climate disaster? So the government is the answer to the question, the US government at that time. And I've had the privilege to speak to several FEMA directors since that time. One of them with enough courage to tell me, Colette, all of the problems you're seeing in this system are absolutely true because the system is not made for you.
Aloha mai kākou. Really wonderful to be here with all of you tonight, and also to welcome Colette. It's my honor to share a heart of a poem with you. It's a very long poem, so I'll spare you exactly how long it is, but I wrote this poem for my daughters. It's called Aina Hanau, which means birthland. And in Hawaii, or from a Hawaii perspective, land is not just something you are born on, but something you are born from. And wanted to carry that here tonight. E ku'u mau o maka e ke kihapai. May you always know these islands, like you, are more than enough. Know that like you, they are everything beautiful, everything buoyant. Their winds and rains and mountains, ravines and valleys, love without question. Like our islands, may you give birth first to yourselves, then love always with green tenderness, thrusting your hands into mud, opening your body into ocean, knowing these islands are here for you, for your children and their children, knowing we are these islands. For you, may there be refuge, safety within the walls you reach, behind orders, under flags, and in your own bodies. May you always be grateful for peace, for open harbors not freely entered, for trees honored, for nothing taken that was not first given, for Evie still earthed, for new coral growth unleashed, for black cloud cover and trees, breathable air, a beach, stream, or ocean without plastic tangle or sewage or toxic sea. I wish you words and medicines that lift and heal, vegetables and fruit from organic earth, free flowing waters from mountain to ocean, cool and clean, unowned, shared. I wish you ocean salted rocks and shells you can taste and hold in your mouth, blades of grass and ridged bark, all coolness and warmth to press to your cheek, to your lips. May you know love in every form, but always in the food you eat. That you love the crust dry poi makes on the skin around your lips. The dark green of luau, the soft steam of bulu, of uala. The way you must slurp the red wild of opi'ai, all from Aina you've curled your toes into. May you always be full. May there be hiding places to keep you as hidden as you want, climbing places to keep you above, flying places, resting places, low-lying and high cliff caves, more places carved by winds and raids, salt and waves, fragrant jungles, terraced tuarins, islands old and still being born, places where you wait for welcome, places that you know are not for you or anyone to enter. May you protect all of those places, and may they protect you. May the wind and waves lift you up, and may you let yourself fly. Wonder for Lakake overlook as Iwa or Pueo circle above, or as Kohola or Naika reach through motion in the distance about lightness and sky. That you remember you can rise high above whatever may hold you down. May you hear his islands breathe with you. Let them be big enough to carry you, small enough to carry with you. May you know these islands depend on your breath, that the ocean, rains, and winds need your voice. That every green growing thing lives and births more green growing. That there is safety and warmth enough, shade enough when you get it, water, food, shelter, love. That you sleep deeply and let yourself hear our kupuna. May you know smallness, know to be careful and think of unseen workings. To remember the smallest can be the strongest, to feel you are islands like ours, not separated by ocean, but threaded, your roots woven and fed by the same fire and water and salt and darkness. May you know immensity too, that even when you think you are alone, that you feel the ocean in your sweat and tears. Then you watch rain wash down the hillsides into a dark stream and see your skin. That the sun, moon, and stars, dark underwater caverns, underground rivers, all you see and don't see of Laina are your kupuna, your ohana, in every breath. That's something of you, that's something of all of us before, and something of all of us to come are these islands. May this always be with you. E ola mau, e ola no. Now it's a great pleasure and privilege to welcome Noelani Goodyear-Kaʻōpua, Mānoa professor in political science, brilliant scholar, and a trustee of the Kamehameha Med Schools.
E nā kua, nā uma kua, e nā kupuna, e nā kamaʻaina, e nā hoaloha. Mai ka hokuia ka halawai, mai ka hikina ki komohena, mai kahiki a kahiki, erina ke aloha kākou. Ola. Aloha no kākou. Aloha. When I say aloha, you say? And all right. Welcome to tonight's Better Tomorrow speaker series. The lecture at a collaboration, a project, a series that brings together the University of Hawaii at Mānoa, the Hawaii Community Foundation, the Learning Coalition, Unbound Philanthropy, and Kaiaunubai Kamehameha Schools. Mahalo to Professor Robert Perkinson up there, and especially to BTSS staff Jess Banel and Hannah Sambo and everyone else who put their hands into making this event happen. This series is rooted in a belief that bold ideas and courageous leadership can move us toward more just, sustainable, and thriving futures, and tonight's speaker exemplifies this vision in every way. We are deeply honored to welcome Colette Pichon Battle, a movement leader, this is the coolest last name ever, visionary strategist, climate justice attorney, and a powerful voice for frontline communities across the globe. Her work creates space for communities to gather in advancing climate strategies, stewarding water and lands and energy, while recognizing the dignity of all labor and building democratic control of the economy. For us here at Hawaii, Maka Moana Nui o ka Pakipika, Colette's voice is more than relevant. Her work resonates with us as we too navigate the life-changing impacts of climate crisis and ongoing imperialism. It has been more than a decade since Pacific Island leaders formally declared climate change to be the greatest threat to the livelihoods, security, and well-being of the peoples of the Pacific. and they emphasize the importance of immediate and coordinated action to address climate change and elevated disaster risk. Our communities have seen why this is necessary, right? In the fires in Lahaina and Kula, Maui in 2023, in the devastating floods on Kauai in 2018, from the eroding coastlines of our islands to the toxic pollutants in our freshwater aquifer right here on Oahu. We know there is an urgent need for community-led pathways toward regenerative economies and resilient ecologies. And many of you here tonight are engaged in this kind of work. So we find an ally, a thought leader, and a powerhouse organizer in Colette Pichon Battle. Raised in Bayou Liberty, Louisiana, Colette and her work have been shaped by Hurricane Katrina, a storm that devastated not only the land and homes of her community, but also laid bare the deep racial, economic, and political inequalities entrenched by disaster capitalism in the hurricane's aftermath. Colette left a career in corporate law and began building something far more viable and necessary, a movement led by people most impacted. Through her leadership at the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy, she developed a model of equitable climate resilience, working with Black, Indigenous, immigrant, and rural communities to ensure that recovery was not just about rebuilding physical structures, but reimagining systems. And she helped shape legal strategies and grassroots coalitions that redefine climate justice powered by people in healthy relationships with lands and waters. Colette expanded this work as a co-founder of Taproot Earth, and their team is here today. She brings her people with her. An international organization that brings together organizing lessons from the Black freedom struggle with Indigenous knowledge about governance and ecological health, creating a framework that honors place, kinship, and collective power. Colette's impact has been recognized globally. She is a 2019 Obama Fellow and a recipient of the 2023 Heinz Award for the Environment, among many accolades that I won't list all of them here. Her work takes her and her team across the world, from Nairobi to North Carolina, from United Nations climate summits to kitchen tables in storm-ravaged parishes. Her message is consistent across these contexts. Those closest to the problem are also closest to the solutions. And true democracy means people power through community-led governance, land-based knowledge, and reciprocal accountability. Their work at Taproot Earth invites us to imagine not only surviving disasters, but practicing diverse forms of solidarity and governance as our taproots. So as I was learning about Taproot Earth, I learned about the great cypress trees, whose deep taproots inspired the name of their organization. And I was reminded of our ʻAlohilani here in Hawaii. He a'ali'i ku makani maiau, a'ohe makani nānai kulaki. I am a wind withstanding a'ali'i. No wind can topple me over. Far smaller than the grand cypress trees, our native a'ali'i, which is sometimes described as a shrub, but I'm not going to use that to make use of term. So our native a'ali'i plant also grows from a taproot system, and Kanaka Maoli revere this plant for its ability to withstand high winds and periods of drought. We cultivate that strength in ourselves when we say, He a'ali'i kumakani maiau, a'ohe makani nānai kulari. So I should have cued some people before this, but if you know this, ʻAlohilani, would you mind standing up? Because I want some people to call in response with me, if that's okay. And I'll say it as well, but we're going to welcome Colette Pichon Battle by saying this ʻAlohilani, for those of you who may know it as well, 3 times. So if you feel comfortable standing and saying it with me, it's gonna go like this. I'm gonna say, He a'ali'i ku makani maiau, and then we're all gonna say, a'ohe makani nāna e kulai. I know for those of you who don't know that ʻAlohilani, we're speaking Hawaiian, it may be a little intimidating, but if you do know it, I know there are cool people in the audience who know it. please say it with me, and let's use our strongest voices and our fifth alohas to chant this together 3 times as a way to welcome our wonderful speaker tonight, Colette Pichon Battle. He ali kumakani mai au, ao he makani nana e kulai. He ali kumakani mai au, ao he makani nana e kulai. He ali kumakani mai au, ao he makani nana e kulai. Please help me in welcoming Colette Pichon Battle.
Peace, everybody. It's good to see y'all. I am Colette Pichon Battle, and I did not expect to be so moved by the poetry and the call, but thank you for your gifts. It makes me feel like I'm around some folks I know and in a place I'm supposed to be. So just thank you very much. Mahalo. Merci beaucoup. Before I begin, I just want to offer my peace and my solidarity to the Native peoples of Hawaii, to the Native nations of the Pacific Islands. I bring you peace from the indigenous land of the Choctaw Nation in Southeast Louisiana, and we just offer our grace and our gratitude. I seek permission before I offer my words, and I thank Robert for inviting me to speak here today. I know there's lots of folks to thank, the foundations, the folks, but I also want to thank the students. Y'all have been amazing and great, and the University of Hawaii. Just thank y'all for having us and the whole Taproot family here. It's been wonderful. I get to have a conversation about reclaiming democracy. No problem, no problem. And I get to do it talking about disaster. So this is going to be an uplifting conversation. You're going to feel great at the end of it. No, this is actually a really interesting and tough time. But one of the things that made me feel better about today was I was called Auntie, so I'm feeling good about that. Also known as the cool Auntie. But it reminded me that when you come to Louisiana, we'll probably call you cousin. So Auntie here, cousin in South Louisiana, I think we come from traditions that say we are part of a greater human family. We are part of an ecology that raises us to see each other and acknowledge each other. And when you come to visit in South Louisiana, we'll call you cousin. Y'all call us Auntie, and we'll all work out in the end. So just thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm feeling lots of emotions today. And this moment on the microphone is, I think, a moment where I'm really having to contemplate how much we're going to be able to say in this country going forward with this particular moment and this particular administration. What words are going to start getting us in trouble? What conversations are going to start to be penalized? And we got many of us who work in the environmental community got some news that some bad things are coming. We know bad things are coming, but some bad things are coming in the next week. So just taking a moment to realize this moment on the stage, which is one where I can speak freely. Robert has told me y'all can handle the truth. Is that right? Okay. I don't know, Louisiana truth and Hawaii truth. I'm not sure. We go a little ways with it. I wasn't going to use my book, but I saw other people with their book, and it just feels like this is a little bit more friendly than normal. So I hope you don't mind, I glance over just to remember a few things. It's been a long week and a hard day. And so the title of this, we drove on campus and I saw Reclaiming Democracy. And I was like, oh, wow. Did we ever have it? So to accept the premise of that particular title is accepting something like Discovering America. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying you don't get it. We get it. But also, did we ever have it? Did we ever have democracy? And what is it? What is democracy? Well, I looked it up on Google. So it's got to be right. I looked it up on Google. Google said democracy was a government where the people ruled by the people. Rule by the people. Everybody agree with that? Democracy, rule by the people. So do we have a democracy? Okay, great. This is a great audience. You're already halfway there. Something's gonna tell me you believe in climate change too. Yeah? Oh, we're halfway there. We're halfway there. Yes, climate change is real. No, we don't have a democracy. So this is good. These are good pieces of information. We never had a democracy, but as an attorney, I will tell you, we did have a good vision for one. It's not bad. I know this country has given us a lot to shake our heads at and not be so proud of in this moment. But I will tell you some of the vision of what this project was supposed to be. It's not bad. It's not bad vision. Now, they went about it the wrong way. So says me and everybody with, African ancestry. They went about it the wrong way. But the vision of a place where people rule themselves is the right idea. It's the right notion. And for those of you nerds of the law, let me say, check out South Africa's constitution. Check out our constitution. And check out this moment we're in right now. We're at that time where those of us who love these values and these principled documents are going to need to know what a good constitution could be and what it could look like. It's tough. It's a tough moment. You got to believe in this country and critique it all at the same time. We've got to know that we can do something better, but also make it through some really tough moments. So this is not an easy moment for me. It's not an easy moment for a lot of us. But I think there's something to digest and dissect about democracy and just the notion of it. So if it's ruled by the people, if democracy is ruled by the people, let's hone in on one word in there, which is rule. Rule. Now, I don't mean regulation rule. I mean, and Google said this is the Google definition. The Supreme Court Justice is going to be so proud of me for Googling my terms. It said rule was control of an area or dominion over a people. That's what rule is. So if we're going to reclaim democracy, if we're going to have democracy in the first place, what area are we saying we want to control, and what people are we having dominion over? Let's just sit with that for a second. Because my question about rule, my question about democracy, really came to a head for me in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. As somebody who believed in the law, somebody who believed in their country, somebody who believed in systems. I was raised Catholic, I like rules. We like to follow things, 1, 2, 3. I thought it was all gonna work out like that. But it doesn't work out like that in disaster. And I wanna take a moment to say peace to the people of Maui. Those of us from South Louisiana, we understand, we know, we are with you. And we do not wish that on anybody, but since you have now had that experience, we will join with you as we all really start to address the climate crisis. But if we talk about rule and rule in climate disaster, the question becomes, who is controlling an area in climate disaster, and who has dominion over people in a climate disaster? And this is what plays out on many of us. I live in the US South. Many folks think it's the only place that has race issues. I'm sure there's none here in Hawaii. Great. As if you don't giggle at that one, then we're not together. Yes, that's right, that's right. The US South is not the only place with race problems, America. And America is not the only place with race problems, but we've got some, and it plays out in disaster. And it plays out by race mostly because race is such a main indicator of your access to upward mobility, income, health. So most folks like to say it's not race, it's class. And I say to them, you can predict the class of a person by the race category they're born into. You literally can tell and pretty much predict how much money I'm gonna make in my life because I'm born black in America. Now, I might be the exception to the rule, but there is a rule. And these are the kinds of things you don't find out until you're in the midst of climate disaster, until you see the systems play out, until you see the words that are supposed to work the same for everyone work differently for some people, usually according to their race. And their race is often connected to their income and their livelihoods. So if you think about who rules in disaster, I'll tell you in Katrina, the area that was being controlled spanned 3 states. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Anybody remember Katrina in here? Got some youngins. They don't know what I'm talking about. I know, 20 years ago, y'all. 20 years. 20 years this year. We'll be commemorating 20 years since Hurricane Katrina this year. And we want to know that you remember what we had to go through, mostly because what we had to go through should not and cannot simply be a sacrifice for nothing. It's got to be for something. We've got to learn from it. We've got to grow from it. But that storm was big. It spanned 3 states. It actually hit 4 of the 5 Gulf states. It hit Florida first, and then it came across and hit Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And what was interesting about this storm is that it was really, really big. Does anybody remember that? It was so big. That's what got most people's attention. We'd never quite seen something that large. It took up almost the whole Gulf of Mexico, which I heard. Oh my gosh. It's the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, y'all, it's the Gulf of Mexico. You don't just get to change stuff, colonizers. Anyway, I mean, what bigger act of continued imperialism, as was said, what bigger act do you need than to just change an ocean? Anyway, that's not where I want to go with that. The storm was large. It took up the whole Gulf of Mexico. It hit 3 states all at one time. And it turned just east of New Orleans and hit right on the Louisiana-Mississippi line, which is where I live. And so I say peace to the people of Louisiana and Mississippi, in particular, who had to sustain a direct hit from that very large storm. But the worst part of that storm wasn't the storm itself, because when it came on shore, it was a Category 3. Anybody know that? It was in the water at a 5, but it came on shore as a 3. What happened was that our natural barriers had been decimated. Our mangroves had been decimated, not only by sea level rise, but by oil and gas. The oil and gas infrastructure, the pipeline, had allowed for so much saltwater intrusion that our natural mangroves that would normally take a storm surge down several feet wasn't there. The storm made it further in than ever before, and it was really, really big because the water was warm. It is still the most costly storm for the United States, most costly hurricane for the United States, which should tell you something, because I heard about how much your houses cost here in Hawaii. We had a dinner at Debbie and Bill's. Thank y'all for lovely, lovely dinner. And they sat me next to like brilliant people who were telling me that the houses here cost like $1 million. $1 million? Well, I live in a place where houses cost not $1 million. Way not. And we still our storm was still more. It's the amount of cost and expense was still more. So you gotta imagine how big this thing is. You gotta imagine the impact. And then you have to imagine who's in control of an area and who has dominion over people. Who is ruling in a climate disaster? So the government is the answer to the question, the US government at that time. And I've had the privilege to speak to several FEMA directors since that time. One of them with enough courage to tell me, Colette, all of the problems you're seeing in this system are absolutely true because the system is not made for you. These disaster laws are made for the middle class. And just in case you didn't know, the disaster laws of the United States are made to protect property. And property, for those who rule an area called America right now, property is not aina, it's not land, it's not where you're from and what you are eating from. Property is privatized space on a market and valued by whether or not there's more spaces like that. So it's valued by competition, not cooperation. You gotta understand what we're doing here in this project, in this democracy that we call the United States. We've never actually reached it, and we can tell in climate disaster. So who's ruling? The government's ruling. In the aftermath of Katrina, the government was represented by the military. Because the first people to move on the ground in a climate disaster are not your friendly council people that you voted for. It's the military with a lot of guns. And now, that was 20 years ago, they got more guns, bigger tanks. They've got a militarized zone that they bring with them in disaster. They've perfected how to respond to disaster in war. And the same private companies that accompany the military in war accompany the military in disaster. So in the aftermath of Katrina, we saw private military, we saw the US military dominating, controlling an area, dominating a people. Many of our folks were killed not only by the storm surge, but by the government, by the representation of the government, by this notion of ruling over people and place. I could tell you a lot of horror stories, but you know, you're already going down, so let me bring you back up. Because there's another piece of the conversation we have to get to, which is what happens if the people actually rule? What's possible if we were actually a democracy, if we achieve that notion of a democracy? Now, we gotta touch some things that many of us don't want to touch. Because if the people rule, that means all the people. So let's hit the obvious thing that nobody wants to talk about, which is we don't like some people. I know I don't like some people. I'm sure you don't like some people. But we have leaders now writing laws based on who they don't like. And the who they don't like translates into who we don't value. And the who we don't value is connected to a system called capitalism, that every single thing, the value of your home, the way our disaster system works, the way our education system works, all of it is tied to a system that most of us benefit from. If we're sitting in these chairs tonight, if we have the type of time and space for the kids to be okay and have enough food and to be where we need to be, we're benefiting from the system. Me too. Me too. So now we have to ask ourselves a different question. Are we willing to change this system? Are we willing to change this system? Now, most people say, yes, girl, we are ready. That's what you tell me. That's what they tell me. So, are we ready to value every single person on this planet the same? Are we ready to admit that every life on this planet is equal to the next? Because now we're getting down to some stuff that we've never quite addressed in this country. I just learned about your plantation system. I learned about sugar. I knew y'all had pineapples. I didn't know you had sugar. We had sugar too. The sugar that we have in South Louisiana and in the Gulf South is also the sugar they had in the Caribbean. You can see the remnants of sugar plantations all over South Louisiana and the Caribbean. I heard yours were indentured servants, low-wage workers, company town folks. Ours were enslaved Africans, kidnapped from a continent in a system that was allowed to exist for more than 300 years. More than 300 years. We allowed a system of a legal dehumanization of people to exist in order to build the wealth of this nation. The wealth that some people feel they have more entitlement to than others was actually built by a system that allowed for the legal dehumanization of people. Now, you might think I'm up here being a little crazy, a little extra, except take a look at what's happening right now in our country. We are allowing systems to be built. We are allowing the enforcement of unjust laws. We are allowing this to happen again. It's happening right now, and the next wave of colonization will not be sugar. It will be critical minerals for renewable energy. That's where we're going. And many of us will have great solar panels, electric vehicles, good cell phones and watches, and we will point to those people over there who are doing the wrong thing, but it won't be us. We will point to those people who are not thinking about how to value people the same way, but it won't be us. We're going to be talking about them over there instead of looking at the people as a whole. It is U.S. consumption, not anything else. U.S. consumption that is driving the global markets to continue the philosophy of extraction that allows for the dehumanization of people for market benefit. You hear what I'm saying? Do you see where we are? We are in a moment where democracy cannot be reclaimed, but it must be demanded. And you've got to look to places like South Louisiana, South Mississippi, South Alabama, and the aftermath of Katrina to see what is possible after disaster. If the people rule, what happens? Well, here's what it turns out. The guy with the hat with some flag that I don't like, in the aftermath of disaster, turns out he's human and I'm human. The first thing you got to do is just say, are you all right? Do you have water? It's possible. I saw it. I experienced it. Now, by day 5, we've forgotten all humanity. But day 1 and 2, some amazing, amazing acts of kindness, amazing possibility of people in the first few days of disaster. When we go back, when the stun wears off of you, we go back into our positions. We go back into our positions. And that is what we are doing right now. Everybody, you feeling safe in this beautiful auditorium tonight? Well, that's a problem. Because at this moment, we should all be taking bigger risks. We should all be demanding democracy. And if every person in our country cannot feel safe, we don't get to feel safe. If every person in our country cannot be free, we are not free. And if we think just sitting and reading and waiting for the thing to pass over is what we're going to get to do right now, you are mistaken. This is the moment where systems like slavery get implemented and they take hold and they stay for 300 years. This is the moment where we start devaluing people to the point where you don't even have to care about them anymore, where you start participating in the system to benefit yourself, where the system is so big that you can't possibly make any kind of change. If we are silent in this moment, that is what is about to happen. That is what is happening. That's what's happening right now. And to that I say, peace to the people of Palestine. Peace to the people of Sudan. Peace to the people of Congo. Peace to the people who cannot say on a microphone what I can say today, but probably will not be able to say next week. If we stay quiet, this is what's happening. It's happening right now. You think it's not us, it's them, it's us. It's all of us, but all of us equals the people, and if the people rule, what is possible? What is possible? If the people rule, liberation is possible. If the people rule, even if you don't like me so much, it's possible to check to see if I got water. If the people rule, maybe we have poets and lawyers sitting together to figure out the words that are going to be needed to ignite people into action. We are running out of time. We're running out of time, and so I'm going to give you a few things to think about here. You're not going to like it, but I love you, but you're not going to like it. So I've got some friends of a lighter hue. Okay, it's good. You know who you are. I want to lovingly tell you it's time that you feel a little discomfort. I apologize about what you're about to feel, okay? But trust all of the brown people, you'll be fine. You'll make it through. It's a little uncomfortable. Discomfort is uncomfortable, okay? So yes, you will feel a little funny. And yes, you can survive. And yes, we need everyone who's ultra comfortable, either in their skin or their income or their access, to start practicing what it is to be a little uncomfortable by speaking up, by not being quiet. You're gonna have to make a decision between what is easy and what is necessary. We are at a moment in time right now, we need necessary. You are necessary. They're not listening to me, friends. We're gonna need some other allies here, and every movement has other allies. It's never been one race of people, one gender of people, ever. When the movements work, it's because the people got together. Some folks came over to the right side of things and said, not in my country, not in my neighborhood. You're not gonna treat people like that where I am. That's what we need right now. Because what's happening in this country is lighting up things happening all over the world. We just came back from Kenya. I just came back from the Caribbean. I just came back from Brazil. We have right-wing governments coming all over the place. They're taking their cues from our country. on how to treat people. And it's not going well. It's not going well. Literally, the security of our country is being threatened because the rest of the world knows that we are destabilized. This is where we are. You're going to have to choose between what's easy and what's necessary. If you want to be free, if you want to remain free, you're going to have to ensure that everybody is free. That's the only way to do it. If you want to remain, now listen, if you want this system to one day get you for something, then you can let it get me first. It will come for you. But if you want to be free, we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to choose between predictability and faith. Now, to my fairer hue people, faith is one of those challenging concepts because you can replace faith with resources. Right? If you have a job, money, access, anything like that, you don't really have to have faith. You just have to have like good work ethic, as my papa used to say, right? You just got to work hard. So many of you have been allowed to have good work ethic, have resources, and you don't have to have faith. You just have to have a predictable life. But that predictable life is causing problems for the rest of the planet. The whole basis of our wealth is extraction and oppression. If we maintain that system, we will have to maintain extraction and oppression. It is now time for you to choose a life that is maybe not so predictable, but is rooted in faith, not just in people, not just in other people, not just in me doing the right thing one day, but faith that the fruit of the land and the crust around after you eat the whatever, I was like, ooh, what's that? Poi. The crust around your mouth when you eat the poi. Ah, beautiful, sister. It was beautiful. You're going to have to trust that that fruit will grow. You're going to have to trust that the rain will come. You're going to have to trust that you will survive. That's the kind of faith I'm talking about. You don't have to have the same religion. That's not what I'm saying. You're going to have faith in something that is not your job or your income or your 401k or your bank account. You're going to have faith in fruit and rain and the person next to you who depends on that ecosystem. This is not easy because most of us have faith problems. We have trouble believing in the things we do not see. To the people who are in Lent and in Passover, I say peace. Blessed are they who believe without seeing. And I say in peace to everyone who is fasting and celebrating Passover. We're going to have to choose between history and future. History and future. You know, when I saw those words, make it great again. Oh, my God. Make it great again. Let me not argue with that. Let me just say we need better standards. If that was great, okay, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I said. All I said was, let's kick it up a notch. Let's kick that up a notch. If that was great, then let's go to fantastic. Make it fantastic in the future. How about that? Because it was never great. The potential has been there the whole time. We've messed it up every single time with controlling an area and dominating people, with rule, with representative rule in a vision of democracy, but never democracy and never fully the people rule. We've messed it up, but we have an opportunity now. The good news is we have an opportunity. The bad news is we're running out of time. We are running out of time. There is absolutely a rise of authoritarianism in this country. You can see it, I can see it, it's here, it's real. You are not crazy, this is happening. There is also an impending climate reality that many people, especially where I live, some of them don't even think it's real. Our leader doesn't think it's real. The state of Hawaii says it's the greatest threat to your existence. We are in direct conflict with some people who are supposed to lead us. That means the attack will come to anybody in direct conflict with that notion. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're coming for us. You will not be safe because even if they don't come knock on your door and put you in chains and put you in another country, even if they don't do that to you, They are going to devalue your place to the point of non-existence. Your homeland, your trees, your shrubs, your fruit. You think being quiet about these people being handcuffed and put in jails and separated from their kids and thrown away, you think this stops at brown people that you don't know? This stops at your coastline, at your trees, at your food systems, and at your house. If we let this keep going, they're coming for you. The system is coming for you. You got to make a choice here. Are we going to sit in this history that has just anchored us down? I'm talking to you as a Black American. It has anchored us down. We can't get up. We're drowning. Are we going to sit here, or are we going to have the courage for that fantastic future? Are we going to have the courage for it? Courage is something Americans don't have to cultivate. That's what privilege allows. Privilege allows you to never have to cultivate courage. You could just be privileged your whole life. You could just do things because it's easy. Courage is what's cultivated by people who struggle often. So I say to those of you who have not had a lot of struggle in your life, time to get a wider set of friends so you can practice some courage with your friends. Ask them how they got through a thing. They'll tell you it's not easy, it's uncomfortable, it takes courage, you can do it, and that's what we have to ignite in people. We're in a moment where the forces are against each other, right? This one versus that one. There's something in the middle. This is a gender comment I'm going to make now. There's something in the middle. There's not just win-loss, although I enjoy a good win. See what I'm saying? I have no intention of ever losing, ever. But that's not the point right now. The point is cooperation says there can be a win-win. In this moment, with the history and with all the things going, we have to figure out the win-win. How can you have what you need? How can all of these people that you have never, ever in your life been taught to care about, how can they have what they need? We don't know all of the problems we are causing around the globe. We are not aware that our comfort is creating an imbalance, a global imbalance that is now threatening the lives of everybody. I'm not blaming you individually, I'm blaming us, the people. What happens if the people rule? I think we can figure this out. But we're gonna have to now sit with people we don't like. We're gonna now have to value people who we don't value. We're gonna have to now say the things that we've been told over and over again. Your life is worth more than mine. We gotta deal with that. That's legally true. Did y'all know that? Legally true, the law says that. How do you value someone's life? There's a calculation based on your life expectancy. My life expectancy can be predicted by my race at birth. This is the system we're holding. And by the way, it's cracking. And the question is, what are we ready to do? We need to be able to govern ourselves. We need to be able to make decisions. I've seen this over and over again in the Gulf and in Appalachia. It sounds easy. Let's sit together, let's make decisions together. But here's what's hard. If you don't value the person across from you on the table, you will not get to a collective decision. If you don't value everybody equally, we will never have democracy. We won't be able to reclaim it. We won't even be able to find it. But this is the moment. This is the critical moment that failed so many hundreds of years ago. This is the moment where when slavery was taking root, a group of people at a university sitting around could have said, we're gonna do something about this. We're gonna make sure that that system doesn't take root. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not moral. We are in that moment now. We're in that moment now. It's gonna require you to be uncomfortable. It's gonna require you to practice your courage. It's gonna require you to say something. It's going to require you to flank the people you have never been taught to value. And the moment is now. And we're running out of time. The only thing that gives me any faith is this great state of Hawaii. I have never seen anything like it in my life. I met a Supreme Court justice tonight. Hello. Supreme Court justice, just hanging out, having, And she said, we were the first state to recognize your right to a clean environment. Did I get that right, Justice? I think I got that almost right. The first state. Let's follow Hawaii. Let's follow Hawaii. We got to get Hawaii in front of a lot of red states over here in the U.S. South. We got to get these concepts of Aina and all of these sacred pieces as part of our understanding. We've got to get that in front of all of the states. Hawaii, I'm sorry, but also thank you for the role you're about to play in getting us out of this mess. No pressure. We could really use you now. Thank you very much, and we really need you. We got crawfish, we got peppers, we got fruit, we'll give you what you need. Come on over, Hawaii, because the rest of this country is not thinking like Hawaiians. The rest of this country needs to hear that spirit goes with democracy, that faith goes with democracy, that all of these things that are sacred, they go with democracy. And I've only ever seen it here, and I've only ever felt it in your waters, and I've only ever had any faith that it could happen because of my visit to you and with the University of Hawaii. And I say thank you, mahalo. Thank you all for all of the work you're going to do and for having me speak with you tonight. I really am grateful. Thank you. I heard the question as the notion of direct democracy, how we use technology and other means to hear how folks can individually find out how to assert what we want and how to find out what others want, the teachings and the political education required for us to get there. Do I have any comments on that? Is that fair? Okay. So we at Taproot Earth and since Katrina have been using a technique called a People's Movement Assembly. The People's Movement Assembly, it's a technique used by frontline folks, grassroots folks, to allow for that direct democracy, mostly without technology, to be honest. Because at the grassroots level, you gotta figure out how to do all of this with pretty much nothing. And what is beautiful about direct democracy is that it's actually possible. To get it replicated at the government levels is, I think, where we're falling down. We use a People's Movement Assembly, and for those of you who are interested, you can look it up. There's a People's Movement Assembly handbook online that you can find, and I believe it's on the Southern Movement Assembly website. It says the people know the problem. I know, radical. The people know the problem. The people know if the water is not right. The people know if something is broken. The people even know the vision for what they want to do. Now, here's what I've learned the hard way. The privilege of visioning requires enough space and a release of burden in order to be able to imagine anything. And what's often missing, especially from the front lines, is that space and the removal of those burdens. In fact, you've got folks working 2 and 3 jobs just to make it through, and then we demonize them for not going to vote on that one day for those 6 hours. What we have to do is actually create new systems of people contributing to that information pool, right? So not just using technology. If everybody doesn't have technology, what do we use to make sure we can hear from everyone? Sometimes it's as simple as gathering together. If you look at indigenous cultures, oftentimes when there's a big decision, everybody comes to the middle. Everybody. Not just the 18-year-olds, not just the folks who have an ID, everybody, because the decision will impact everyone. So I think the first thing we're going to have to do to even get close to direct democracy is break down some of the things that are really keeping us from achieving democracy. The way we even look and understand our system is about how to exclude people. The very basis of this country and citizenship was based on how you keep people out. You had to be a white, male landowner with allegiance to the country to have citizenship. And right now, those 4 elements will keep you out of enforcement of the government right now. Those basic elements of citizenship That's the basis of our system, and our system has, from that point, excluded folks. You can't come if you're not 18. You can't come if you don't have an ID. We go from scarcity. We have to build systems rooted in abundance. We have to be okay with people having a say, which is not the same thing as how do we maintain power. That's different. The goal here is for everybody to have a say, isn't it? Then why don't we have a voting system in this country where everybody can just vote? You can vote on your phone, you can vote at your church, you can vote 5 days in a row, not 5 times, just 5 days in a row. Why don't we have a system that allows for everybody to have a voice? Why don't we want to hear from everybody? We know what they would say. Y'all know what they would say. This is not a representation of what this country wants right now. This is a representation of what happens when you exclude so many people from saying what they want. That's what we got. The direct democracy has to start at the community level, and then we got to get it up to the government level. Hope that was all right, brother. Ashe. Hey, friend, I can see you. Let me reject the premise of your question with love, which is, what can we do individually? That's always a question, by the way. I do a lot of these talks, and afterwards someone says, what can I do? And the first thing I say is, get your friends. Get your friends. There should be no more I. There's no more I. We have passed the I portion of this reality. At this point, we need to all be moving with about 100 people each. And you got 100 in your phone. You got 100 on your Facebook. And we need to be moving with 100 each. And one of them is going to be that uncle that kind of gets on your nerves. You know the one I'm talking about. He voted he voted wrong. He just says wrong things. You got to get him too. Because even the uncle who voted wrong and says the wrong things believes that people should have water. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. He might not know the broader contours of that conversation, but a lot of people believe that humans deserve access to water. A lot of people do. And if you're moving by yourself and chanting, we deserve water, that's not good enough. We need 100 people moving with every person in here to fight for the basic human rights. And the right to water is one of them. We got to fight for the right to water with 100 people. We got to fight for the right to migrate. Hello? We are penalizing people for migrating like butterflies, like cattle, like fish. We are penalizing people for doing something natural. That's what's happening, everybody. And if you didn't pay attention to who was migrating, pay attention to who had to migrate when Maui was on fire. And pay attention to who had to migrate when Louisiana was underwater. Because it wasn't the southern border folks from a country you can't pronounce. It was us. And there's nobody defending our right to migrate or our right to remain in our homes. We're being silent, or we're moving with just one. It's time to organize. I know nobody likes to hear that one. The grassroots has been saying it. The civil rights movement proved it. It's time to organize. The only way we're going to see change in this country is if we organize. The only way you organize is together. Together starts with those very uncomfortable conversations with your people. Don't make me talk to your uncle. That's your job. I'm going to get mine, you get yours. Let's meet up in the middle. We got some work to do. But you got to do your work, because the other thing that happens, especially to people like me, is a lot of empathy, a lot of sympathy. I really want to be on your side. What can I do? Get your people. And I'm going to go get mine. And we're going to have to move together on this. But you can't expect me to get mine and yours. That's not fair. That's not fair. And it will not be easy, and you will all be in a place of discomfort, but we will all be okay. And there is, what's the fruit again? Kopi? What was the name of the fruit? Oh, it's a food. Poi. Oh, sorry, my bad. Oh, poi. We're gonna have poi. We're gonna have gumbo and poi at the end At the end of this, there will be gumbo and poi. This is the good news. The good news about this difficult journey, y'all, is that in the end, it's beautiful. In the end, it's beautiful when there is a direct democracy, when we are moving together, when we do something, when we show courage, when we practice, when we do it, it's beautiful. You don't know it because you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it because we don't do it very often. We don't do it very often in this country because we are privileged and comfortable, and we do not have to pay attention to what we are doing to the planet. But we must now. We must now. The time is now. The time is now. Two more? 1, 2. I see a hand and a white shirt. Do I think that signing petitions and calling your representatives is doing something? Sure. That's what I call the least you could do. You know what I mean? If you're not gonna get out here and like do this other stuff, the least you could do is sign that petition when they're on the street asking you to sign this petition. The least you can do is not walk past the young advocate who is getting your signature to put the thing on the ballot. The least you can do is put your name on there. The least you can do is actually practice your democracy. Not every 4 years, but every day. It's like a dirty floor. I'm not saying you didn't sweep it yesterday. I'm just saying you got to sweep it again today. That's all I'm saying. That's what democracy is. We're so privileged, we think democracy only requires us to engage every 4 years, maybe every 2. Democracy requires you to engage every day. You should be frustrated by people on a daily basis. If you are frustrated by people on a daily basis, you are effectively engaging in your almost democracy. Because we have to be in conversation. We're going to disagree. You got to convince me of some things. I got to convince you of some things. This is work. We live in a country where we don't have to work for what we have. That's the privilege part. That's the privilege part, y'all. I'm not saying you're the other privilege. I'm saying we're the American privilege. And it's causing a problem globally. So yeah, sign a petition. Call the leader. By the way, get other people to sign a petition and other people to call the leader too. So let's do that. But let's not do this. Please do not think that doing that is the hard part of the work. It is not. It is not. You got to go to the meetings too. You got to get on the microphone and make a comment too. You got to run for office too. And you know what happens now when you run for office? Now they come after you. They come after you. They come after your family. They come after your finances. They come after your career. Yeah, at least sign the petition. At least sign the petition. And help somebody else if they can do more. So these little young students, somebody around here is going to be a leader in Hawaii. Help them. Get them there. Help them out. It's the least we can do. It's the least we can do. Thank you for the question.